good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be in this whole wide world. This is the Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya Film Night, where we come together and discuss a film that ignites topics on women, trade, talent, youth, environment, everything, where we share, we connect, and we are here from all over the world, but broadcasting this from Nairobi, the hub of our Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya. This session, we are inspired and driven by the film She is King, an African film written and shot in South Africa. And we keep picking up films from all over the world, but this time we are back home and we're going to learn a great deal. And for this very exciting evening, we have two guests, two Kenyans, two performing artists, and they're both based here and outside there, and they're going to tell you more about themselves. But before I even go on, first of all, I'm just going to invite our chairperson, before I go on, to tell you more about who is Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya. Who are we and why do we do this? Can I call on my chairperson, Nana Wajao? Over to you.
Oh, thank you, Njoki. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Loud and clear, Nana.
Excellent. Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya. We are a ground partner of Commonwealth Business Women Network, CBWN. CBWN is a registered community interest company in the United Kingdom. CBWN is an accredited organization directly recognized by 54 governments across 6 continents. We are committed to advancing the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5 and the Commonwealth Charter. Commonwealth Business Women Network is focused on women's leadership and economic empowerment. We have a mandate to network over 1 billion women of the Commonwealth family for the sole purpose of connecting, collaborating, and doing commerce. So having said that, our mission is to strengthen the Commonwealth, build businesses, and advance women. So why are we here? In alignment with our mission of building businesses and advancing women, CBWN Kenya supports women in the film industry. But beyond the film industry, CBWN supports women in the creative industries. We work with various partners to turn their art into profitable business. Turning your art into profitable business. So with those few remarks, we welcome you to the Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya Film Night. I say you can live many, many lifetimes through watching or making movies. Njoki, may I introduce our guests?
Please go ahead, Nana, go ahead.
I will start with Valerie. Valerie, let's have your video on. Would love to see you. Valerie Kimani is a performing artist. And if you remember, Valerie's fame was from Tusker Project Fame Season 1 as the winner. Valerie, let me tell you, I was there.
What do you mean?
Yes, I was there. I was there.
Question is, Nana, who did you vote? That
But come on, I voted for you, obviously.
Well out, Nana, well out, like as golfers would say.
So, there's a lot more to Valerie. Valerie, when I was reading about you, you're doing such exciting things. And I didn't even know all this until I started putting this together. She also starred along our Lupita Nyong'o. Have you noticed these days how we say our? We like to own people.
She's ours, yes.
Our Lupita Nyong'o in MTV's Sugar. And most recently, she's been performing in a show called Michael Jackson 1. You need to tell us more about this. During Corona times, she's been very, very busy creating podcasts on performing growth, on personal growth, called Chai with Valerie. By the way, when I read this, Valerie, I automatically read it as Chai na Valerie. Chai na Valerie.
I love it.
Automatically, I read it that way. Then I realized, oops, it's with. So Valerie, it is wonderful to have you here. It's just been a minute and we can't wait to hear what you've been doing with your life. I will also introduce our second guests. Now, David Muriithi. David and I go way back. He's a great friend of mine. We are connected at family level. Our children connect us. But David, when I had to print your profile, my printer almost ran out of ink. And I realized that we only know people through a window or two. There's so much aspects, so many angles of a person, and sometimes you think you know them, but you only know them through one window. If you're lucky, maybe two. So David, I realized there was so much to you, and I started doubting my claims of me knowing you. Let me
you must have just found out I was a dancer or something.
Breakdance. I think he's won some awards doing breakdance.
I only picked a few because, David, this platform is only 1 hour. So Muriithi is a creative entrepreneur, seasoned MC, keynote speaker, former event and talent manager, music promoter, realtor, and part-time DJ. What I really loved is that, first of all, you're also managing the Creative Enterprise Center, a regional capacity building center whose main focus is formulating and implementing various capacity building strategies that enhance professionalism within the creative industry in the region via the various training workshops. In addition, David and Ernest & Young, London and East Africa retired auditor, also holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the University of Manchester. David is a regular commentator and he's always present in regional and global conversations about the creative industry economy. That is so true. David also sits as a trustee of the highly influential Rumi Foundation based in London. He was also the regional business agent for South Africa's Afro jazz legend Hugh Masekela for 20 years. His love and knowledge of music is renowned and is made manifest through his alter ego, aka DJ Delight. How is that?
You've done a great job, Nana. You've done a great job. Yeah.
Up to you, Jockey.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Nana. What I would like to do is to go straight to this beautiful lady, Valerie. Now, Valerie.
Did you say the name of the movie, Jockey?
Yes, yes. I'm going to do that in a little while. Now, Valerie, can you first tell us where you've logged on from? People need to know where you are right now. Where are you?
Well, it's actually interesting because I took my son and my daughter on a little road trip to visit some family. So I'm currently in Atlanta, though that's not where I live.
Yes.
Can you imagine going on a road trip with a 3-month-old? I don't know what I was thinking, but here I am. I'm just happy to join in with you guys. Everyone is connecting to Zoom anyway.
I wanted our audience and viewers to know you are all the way in the US of A. And that you're normally based, are you normally based in Los Angeles or in Las Vegas? Where are you based? Where is home?
Neither of those places. I was working in Las Vegas for a little bit, and I'm currently focusing on being a mom.
Yes.
And being a homemaker.
Yes.
And that comes with, I'm learning separating my job from my personal life. So
okay. And that's a very good point when you say you are learning about separating your life and your job, because our film tonight for discussion, that She is King, I'll give our audience a little brief on the film, because for this CBWN film night, even if you haven't watched the film, please still log in. We will give you a brief, and the themes are so common. So if anybody is out there thinking, should I log on or not, and I haven't watched the movie, please, I'm here to tell you about it. A young girl wants a career in performing as a performing artist, to be a singer and a dancer in a musical drama. She lives in the village. She comes into the city. She's Zulu, and she lives her Zulu village and comes to the city. Her father used to be a musician, but retired in the village. In the city, she meets other girls. Some help her, some are against her. Some men want to take advantage of her. She's a tough cookie. And while there, she discovers even her talent is bigger. And then she discovers that her mother is right there. The mother who never brought her up, because another mother brought her up in the village. And so the conversation begins. Why give up a child? And therefore the topic of your art, your talent, your performing artist career, and being a mom. How do you balance that? So those are the topics that we'll be talking about, young people and art. Nana, how did I do in summarizing that film? There you are. So I will start. I think Valerie is, where are you? Okay, there she is. Now, let me start with, I'm going to ask a very straightforward question, and maybe let me start with David. Nana said retired auditor. What she didn't say is you abandoned being an auditor and accountant with the big 5 to be a DJ. David, and those were 5 years ago. Were you mad? What made you do that?
It's not 100% correct.
Yes.
I abandoned the auditing career because it wasn't giving me happiness, to cut a long story short. It wasn't giving me the value of life that I felt I should have had at a very young age. And, you know, my wife was heavily pregnant. Everyone thought I was crazy. I just gotten married the year before, and I walked out of a very well-paid job. Actually, what I did, I left. When I did leave, I did 2 things. I set up an entertainment consultancy where I was doing talent and event management. That's one. And the second thing is I joined the family real estate business. Now, DJing has always been there. I've been a DJ for over 32 years. This is what you have to know. It started as a hobby in university, and I still call it a hobby, but it really isn't. It's something I do, and I call it the hobby that pays to a large extent. You know, I don't do it full time, but I get paid quite a bit to do it.
So it
doesn't hurt, but it's not my main source of income. No.
Okay.
But music has been a huge source of income and of activity, or rather the creative sector has been a huge source of my activity, though. That is quite true.
Excellent. And along the way, you have managed other young talents. You're going to tell us a little bit about what you've learned and how you've guided them. Let me go to Valerie. I did watch you on Tasker Project Femme, so I'm very familiar with you and your talent. Valerie, tell us a little bit. What made you go into this arts career, and did you have any challenges at the early stage?
Jockey, it was a complete accident.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was they advertised for Project Fame in the papers.
Mm-hmm.
And a family member of mine basically tore off that section,
Mm-hmm.
gave it to me, and said, go do that. That looks like something you should do.
Uh-huh.
And so, not really knowing or understanding what Project Fame was, because that was the first time anything like this was being shown on TV. There I was, a naive little, I think 19 or 20 something year old girl. And one thing led to another, as they say. And I found myself on a stage that has been the, I guess, beginning of the rest of my career. Yeah. So look at that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then you went on to win it. And for our viewers and listeners who are wondering what is Tusker Project Fame, let's put it this way, as we do in film. It is America's Got Talent and The Voice put together, but we are not those. We are Kenyans with Tusker, our beer. So it's called Tusker Project Fame. How about that for defining it, you know?
And there's
so,
a little bit of Big Brother in there.
And that, oh yes, and Big Brother.
Oh, yes.
Big Brother, AGT, The Voice put together with the label Tusker, purely Kenyan. And it was the first time such a show was done in East Africa, and Valerie won it, and she says she got there by accident. What did your parents, you said you were about 19, 20, what did your parents, your relatives, your family friends say to this young, naive, beautiful girl going off to stay in some house with strangers and singing every Sunday to us? What did they say genuinely? Spill it out.
I really don't think anybody had any clue what was. I don't think even I knew what was happening. I remember when it hit me that, wait, we're gonna be in this house for how long? Mm-hmm. And you're taking our phones away, and you know, like the whole concept of a reality show was new, at least for me. But I think it kind of added to the excitement of everything. There was nothing like, I'm gonna say this, there was nothing like the first season of Project Fame.
Yes.
There was nothing like that excitement that it brought, just because it was a novel thing. Yeah. And also, like, I think people enjoy watching people's journeys. They enjoy watching the growth, sometimes the embarrassing things. But I think it takes people on such an emotional, you know, it's reality TV, an emotional roller coaster. It looks like life. You're following people's lives. And so I think there was a mixture of, oh my Lord, yes, what? All sorts of emotions.
Very well put, very well put, very well put. And for you, David, you've had along the way, you've mentored and managed young talent. What are some of the challenges they've presented to you or you have experienced, especially to do with a young person in Africa, in this end of the world, choosing a performing artist career? Anything to share with us, David?
Well, one of the major challenges with managing talent is you have to understand the background of the state of the creative sector in Africa. Is that we already come from a background of we're not expected to succeed. Our environment doesn't expect us to succeed. Our parents don't expect us to succeed. Our brothers don't expect us to succeed. Our former teachers don't expect us. You know, basically you're working against the grain, because the creative sector, especially back then, especially when we were growing up, was not treated. You were a kind of, you know, a lot of us had that uncle who was a guitarist or something, and he was treated like the failure of the family, because he wasn't a doctor, an accountant, a teacher, one of the, I call them the big five, employment. So already artists come in with that in mind, so to speak, against the grain. So what tends to happen is that a lot of artists that I've worked with, quite a number, first start off with that lack of vision or just scared to even dream. So they're sort of, their vision's very short-sighted, so to speak. So that's the first challenge, just that sort of self-esteem, not all, but some, lack of self-esteem really about success. And then the other thing that can actually cripple a creative, and this is creatives across the board, is the fear of success, which is actually bigger than the fear of failure. It's actually a bigger issue to deal with than the fear of failure. It's like, I'll just equate it to, when you're in a room, let's just say you're a lady in a room, and that guy you've always fancied walks into the room, and you start shivering and all that, and your friend who's sitting next to you happens to know him, and you've always wanted to meet him, and it's like your fantasy is about to come true, and you just bolt, you freeze up. The guy comes, you're even angry at the guy, like, Kwani, mbona unaniongelesha hivyo? Why are you talking to me like that? And you that is the fear of success. I put it in a light-hearted way, but it just sends the message home, because a lot of creatives tend to actually work against themselves when they see success possible. And again, it's part of the state of mind of the self-esteem, the whole idea, the whole state of lack of self-esteem, not knowing that it's actually, you're actually worthy of that success. So the switch really comes when that mind switch happens. And I've worked with some amazing artists who've had vision, and it's always easier to work with an artist or a creative who has vision than one who hasn't, because you can't create vision in somebody. Talent, you can always build and train, but not vision. So yeah, that's some of the challenges.
I have a question, Njoki, based on that, because Valerie won by accident, and you managed her, isn't it?
I was just trying to keep that on the down. I was like, do they know or don't they know?
You can't hide much from us, we know.
Valerie have a vision, considering she literally just walked into Tasker Project fame as an accident, and she won.
So two facts first I have to put forward. One, I was actually a judge on the Tasker Project fame. I was one of the 3 judges when Valerie won. So that's one. 2, I ended up managing her for how long, Valerie? 2 years, 3 years?
I have pregnancy.
For a while, for the beginning of her career. And I don't want her ego to blow up, because she might not fit in the screen. But she was actually the most successful artist I ever worked with, because especially because she had vision. To be honest, it really makes a huge difference. And she I think she was always destined for greatness, and that's where she is today. So no doubt.
That's amazing. So a key learning.
I'll pay you later after.
Yeah, the check is later. Yeah.
The key learning point here, David, is vision, and can they be brave to dream and head for that vision? Very interesting. Nana, our chair, you have your kids are kind of teenage and all that. What would happen if one of them told you, ma'am, I want to be a guitarist, I want to be a musician? What did you do as a mom?
In fact, I think we've switched. This parenting of my age, we tend to give our children a lot of liberty. In fact, I push my children to do extra activities beyond academics. So I'm very, very particular that they swim, they do music, they ride horses, just try and trigger other interests beyond the books. So I think our generation is quite different, and most of my friends are like that. It's the generation of my mother that, and beyond that were very particular about the big five, David. I went to medical school for one semester and that was it. I was out.
I didn't know that about you. Now be calling you would have been Dr. Nana.
But I had to move house. I had not even house, I had to move countries because it was not acceptable, you know, but we are a different parenting age now. Hasn't Jockey frozen?
Yes, no, it's okay, you're back. That's amazing. So it might be my network. Now, Nana, what you're saying is that you went into one of those traditional careers, you did one semester of medicine, you decided this is not for me, you decided to change, and it caused a little bit of havoc, but you managed to do. And maybe what you're saying is that the parents of today are a little bit more easy. I'll go back to Valerie on what David said. Thank you, Nana, for that. I'll go back to David, to Valerie. David said you were one of the most, you know, one of the best talents that he managed, but you also said going to Tasker Project Fame and discovering the extent of your talent was more of a fluke. What vision then did you create, having seen yourself in Tasker Project Fame, that led you to fantastic performances, I think, in Las Vegas? You've got to tell us a little bit about that.
I would love to tell you about that, because honestly, Jockey, it almost breaks my heart, this conversation.
Yes.
You know, because it's personal. This whole conversation of if your daughter or your son said they wanted to be an artist, you know, what David was saying earlier, there is a general sneer that will come up, you know, and you kind of have to fix your face to not show what you truly feel about what that person is saying. But the thing that I want to say about that, and the thing that breaks my heart, is I think artistry is a calling. You know, it's not, you know, there are people that do it as a job and create art or music or whatever, but an artist, I'm talking about an artist, is who you are. It's how you are created. It is something that is in you that you can't help. You can't help but be creative. Now, we can all be creative, right? We can use creativity in business. We can use creativity in family, how we're talking to our employees, how we're talking to our kids and all that. Like, I'm homeschooling right now. I have to be very creative about that. But the creativity I'm talking about is the innate one that you are born with. And therefore, when you say as a parent to a kid that you cannot do that, you're directly talking, did I disappear?
It's all right, you see, yeah, I can see you.
You're directly impacting who the person is. Because artists are by nature very sensitive, because that's where it comes from. You know, you need to be able to feel these things, and we are allowed by God to express intangible things, right, in a way that people can understand. That's why you fall in love with a song, and it takes you through a death of a loved one or a heartbreak, you know, because an artist connected it and put it for you in words that make sense. And so it is so important.
Yes. Yeah.
In this world. The problem comes in that where we are in Africa, it's just not developed enough to sustain us. And so I understand when parents kind of are afraid that they're, oh, my daughter is going to be a singer, you know, or a dancer. I understand the fear is that, will they be able to sustain themselves? Will they be able to support their family? Or will they always be a leech that I have to take care of into my 70s? You know what I mean? But I think it's a conversation we need to tread very carefully on, because everything that David said about the fear of success is absolutely spot on, because the fact that I did Project Fame accidentally allowed me not to think about it too much. Had I wanted it, and I know there are people in my group who wanted it, you know, who, I mean, schemed and strategized for it, you know, full Big Brother style, you know? And why that is so scary is because it breaks your heart.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely breaks your heart. It's a different kind of profession, because we cannot be good artists if we're not in it. And so any rejection is a rejection of a part of us. You know, as a doctor and whatever and all that, you can kind of take your gloves off and say, all right, tomorrow will be a better, you know. But if you're writing what's in your heart and people don't like it, for example, what does that say? You know what I mean? So it's a very misunderstood field, but also depending on where you are. Let me give you an example. Here in the States, and I haven't lived here too long, but I know enough to know that there are places that you need to go to develop your artistry, that you will do better at. You know, at the beginning of this, you said, are you based in LA? Are you based in Vegas? Are you based in New York? Those are kind of the hubs, you know, Atlanta. And in the same way, rather than say to children, you can't take this path, you know, I think it would be more meaningful to say, where can we go, or how can we support you so that you have the best shot, you know? And what does success mean to you? Because for the kid and for the parent, two very different things, you know? I know I'm taking too long, but I just want to say one last thing. Wait. Success.
You're not taking long, because your ideas, what you are talking about, it's so brilliant. I'm getting goosebumps. Go on. Go on.
Thank you. It's very real, you know. I was going to say success for an artist, and this is where people don't understand why there's that starving artist stereotype, is because I think, and I'm not going to speak for everyone, but for me, just to create is success. You don't, like, I just wrote a song the other day that I'm sure not many people have heard, but I am so proud of it. It's called Motumia. It's a song I wrote for the women in my life, you know. It means...
Oh, I have that, Valerie. We played. I have it.
Oh, awesome. So nobody has paid me a single cent, you know? I haven't been on a single radio station talking about it, you know? That is kind of what you're expected to do, right? To be successful. And this is what I'd like people to understand, that for artists, to do the work is so fulfilling. If we get paid, fantastic. Oh my gosh, it's like you're cheating the system somehow.
Amazing. Yeah. I love that. Lots of things you said. Artistry is a calling. So when somebody pulls you down, it's like they're killing the soul in you. And one thing that you said that's so important is, how do we define success? When people get worried that you want to be an artist, that you might never make any good money, you might not, please, how many lawyers are out there jobless? How many engineers? The world has moved now. The world has too many of the ordinary professions also unemployed. And I love the way you described how success looks like. If you've composed.
Say one thing about that. You reminded me when David was talking about vision. So to satisfy that financial, because we do need to support ourselves. We, you know, at the end of the day, we have to eat, right? So this is where the vision comes in, right? Essentially, artists are their own CEOs. And I always say that it's one thing, it's great to learn music and go study acting, but if we don't teach artists how to manage their business, because only missing link, you know, because you get thrown out there in the world and you're like, well, I know nothing about budgeting. I know nothing about contracts. I know nothing about, you know, so management comes in and all that. But vision
Yes.
how I navigated that for myself, because Project Fame, and this was hard to navigate right after Project Fame, and I got a lot of slack for it, but I'm so glad I stuck to it, because the vision of who I am as an artist was completely different from where that whole competition was going. And so I had to stand firm in myself, whether it was a popular decision or not, whether people understood it or not, to say that I am the kind of artist who does such and such and such. So me ending up at Cirque du Soleil, creating a character in the, well, now it's no longer playing because thank you very much, COVID, but the show that basically Michael Jackson, when he was on tour, you know, and he passed away, that show was recreated and taken to Las Vegas, you know? And so to be part of that, you know, is because I had a good understanding of that I need to be this kind of artist that digs deep, that can create, that can write, you know, that's not so much in the pop field. And there's nothing wrong with the pop field. But if that's your vision of a pop field, then you're going to go that way. You follow it through and stick to that. That's how I think you can really be at peace with yourself as an artist, no matter what anyone says to you.
Amazing, at peace with yourself. In this film, the young lady, her name is Kanye. Kanye tells the father, I really want to go to the city. I really want to have a go. She wants to go for the audition for this play about, actually it's about a woman leader, and they talk a lot about Nandi, the Shaka Zulu mother. Shaka Zulu is one of my favorite movies. And the father says, no, 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 I don't want you to go. And she says, Dad, if it doesn't work out, I promise you, I will come back. And the father had been in the same city as a musician. And at one time he thought, this city is taking me too fast. I'm going back to the village. It's a decision he's made. He made that decision, but he allows the daughter to go out there so she can make her own decision. David, you are dad to young people who are also taking careers in art. Seeing what Valerie has told us, how do you handle your kids, your young adults' ambitions of what they want to be?
First of all, I just have to say what Valerie said was spot on. Just about, you know, being true to oneself. That's the only way to sustain yourself when you have authenticity. You have to be authentic. You have to reach in and be your authentic self. It's so important. It doesn't matter how talented, and this is why what you normally see with artists who've done multiple albums, first, second, third, fourth, you'll normally find the authenticity comes around their third album. Because the first two are usually managed by the record label, image, this is what we want you to be. And then suddenly they become superstars, so they get more creative license, and then they start expressing themselves. Justin Bieber, Britney Spears, you name them, they come off, you know, their third album usually is the real them, you know, whether it's the sexy them or the this them or the deep them, that's usually them. Anyway, so that's just an aside. So I'm really glad what Valerie said. So yes, I have the distinct, I call it an honor of having 3 creative children. My first son has actually just graduated with an associate degree in animation from Dubai and just come home about a month ago. My second born is in his second year studying music composition in the UK. He actually had a scholarship to Berkeley School of Music in Boston, which we turned down. We didn't like what was happening in America. I didn't feel safe under Trump, to be very honest. Let me get political. I just didn't feel like a young black man should be walking around in America zubaying. And you know, he's from the Ishagi of Nairobi. He'll just be zubaying and then pow. So we chose instead for him to go to the UK. He's doing very well. He'll probably do his master's at Berkeley. Now his vision, you're talking about vision, Valerie, and it struck me. His vision, he wanted to be an engineer. He was a straight A science student up until his O levels. Then he switched and said, actually, because he always loved music, he was always doing music, he plays 5 instruments. Then he just said, look, do you mind if I do music instead? And We had no problem. We are an example of parents who had absolutely no problem with that and totally encouraged him, bought him a piano, bought him all the instruments, violins, whatnot. He joined the orchestra. He's, composed music. And so in that respect, he's going in with confidence that, the environment around him is backing him up. And I think he's going to succeed, especially because of that mindset. Unfortunately, not that many children going into that field do have that sort of backing, to be very honest. And this is just a message out to parents, like what Valerie said. Just imagine, just support them. I know there's fear, but let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether they're pursuing medicine or whatever degree. If they're not passionate about it, they will not make money out of it.
Yeah.
If they're passionate about whatever they're doing, even if they're taking a degree in sweeping the streets, they will make money out of it because they're passionate about it. Don't kill your children's passions. Don't live through your children either. If you had your time, let them have their time. That's an aside.
Moment of silence.
Yes, we take a moment.
David, before you get off the stage, yeah?
Okay.
As you discussed all this, what I want to hear, finally, and Valerie also touched onto this. At the end of the day, the artists have to support themselves. And I'm
absolutely
very interested in knowing how do we support as CBWN Kenya, because we want to work with creative, turning their art into profitable business. So I want you also to walk us through what we can do to ensure that it's not just passion and you are not eating.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't eat passion, so to speak. But
passion fruit.
You see the artists in the house. You see them, the creatives. You see them. The truth is
that. David, can I throw a spanner before you add?
Throw the spanner.
Think of that single mother in the village who sold her last cow to take that child to university or to high school, and then the child turns back and says, I want to be an acrobat. Absolutely. Think about that as you answer.
I'm thinking about it because I've met that person and I've met those people, and those are the people who actually train in my creative enterprise training, which I've been doing for about 15 years across Africa. And I meet a lot of those people. I meet the people who also say, I did this degree because of my parents, and I give them the piece of paper, and now I'm pursuing what I really want. In fact, majority, and what I'm finding more and more as the years go by, is a lot of them are actually graduates. Beforehand, it was just, I've dropped out after Form 4, I just went into music. No. Now what we're finding is a lot of graduates, people who studied law, people who studied, I remember one lady I met who studied medicine, up to a master, she did her master's in medicine, and then said, you know what, I actually want to be a violinist. And she's now somewhere in Europe in some major orchestra. And so I come across these people, and before we even start training, what we do is I usually spend the first, let's say we're on a 5-day course, I usually spend the first day just working on the mindset, understanding what their understanding of themselves is. Because without understanding that, then we don't have a place to start working from. So what do we do and what helps an artist possibly, make a living is understanding, basically, we call it following the money. So in order for you to be able to replicate your art and make it more sustainable, yes, there has to be money. It doesn't have to be the primary objective. It can be a secondary objective. But it's an objective. It needs to be an objective for it to be sustainable. I mean, unless you're a trust fund baby, or something. So what we tend to do is impart general skills, not specific, not going into, for example, financial management. Financial management is a skill you need as a human being generally. Like pocket, how do you, I'll just say one of the joys of going to university was actually teaching me cash flow management 101. Because the first time I went to university, I think within 6 weeks, the money was finished. Because, dollars, shillings, money was over. And actually, believe it or not, that's how I started DJing. Because I realized there's no money coming from home. So let me start. So I started flipping burgers. I was a cocktail barman. And at some point I slipped into DJing, and that became my side hustle to make extra money in university. That's actually, I started DJing. But the truth of the matter is you do need some general money skills. So that's one, just money management skills. How do you stretch money? How do you find money? How do you get money? How do you make money? And associated with that is something called intellectual property. Intellectual property is what governs the value of your creativity. And it needs to be protected. In America, and Valerie might attest to this, in America, intellectual property is treated like gold. Like, they take it so seriously. Your brand value, your rights around your music or your scripts. Jockey, you're a script writer, you're a filmmaker. Your script is your gold, isn't it? For a songwriter, I mean, for a musician, your songwriting, that IP around your songwriting is gold. You can actually get loans against it in other countries. Africa, we're slowly getting there, but it will get there. There's a lot of conversation, even in Kenya very recently, about how to use your intellectual property as collateral. So those are some of the, there's a lot of other things, how to market yourself, social media, use of social media, how to manage your brand, and all those soft skills that you add to your career to enable you to make money, to make it sustainable. And what Valerie attuned to as well is the whole idea of, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can also get a manager to handle some aspects of that, but you still have to understand what that manager is doing. And why is that important? So that your manager is your employee. That's what people should always remember, not the other way around. Unfortunately, a lot of parts of Africa, it's the producer and the manager becomes the owner of the business. And I like what Valerie said. She was, and it's very true. And that's why I said, actually, and Valerie, I'm not meaning your ego. I'm not inflating your ego. It's just that you're here. The truth is, Valerie was one of the first artists I worked with where I actually felt like I was the employee, because we worked towards building her vision. And that's what a manager should do, realizing a vision, not trying to create a vision. Big difference. So yeah, those are my two quick, slow cents.
I have another question for all of you. Are we assuming this person who wants to be an artist has the ability? Could they have the interest, but they really don't have the talent, but they ain't going anywhere? Let's be real.
Over to you, Valerie.
Well, that's such a painful situation. Oh my! I mean, that's true, but it's something that you can find. There are people right now, artists, who aren't the greatest singers, but are very successful. So there's a lot to be said for, like David said, passion and hard work and skills, street smart, all that put together. You can make it work. So it's personally, I don't like to go there. I would never tell someone, don't sing or don't dance or don't. That's your contract between you and your maker. You know what I mean? So I hesitate to do that. But I guess there is something to be said for supporting in the other ways, like because eventually, if they're a reasoning, rational person, and they see it's not working, the logical thing is to say, okay, I tried this singing thing, I don't think it's for me, And if they have not been fighting everybody, because I think they keep going because they're trying to prove, because everybody is telling them you can't, But what if you switch it around and you say, okay, let's give it a shot, What do you need, Now, obviously, within reason. But if you support them enough so they can give it a shot and see, I don't know, let me try something else, I think that's better. That's what I would do.
Okay. David, have you managed talent, and I'm using the word talent as a noun, that wasn't talent enough, but they made it, And have you also managed real talent that made nothing of themselves?
The latter, yes. I have a God-given talent in spotting talent. So luckily, I've never managed a non-talented creative. So I've been very lucky, touch wood. But I have managed a couple of artists way back who didn't understand the power of their talent. And I think that's the way to put it. And a lot of it had to do with the environment, back to what we're talking about, confidence. And these were artists who were really rising very high in their specific field. But they didn't really, when push came to shove, they didn't really, one, understand the vision they were articulating, and they didn't really truly believe in themselves. So they were truly living in the moment, not looking at their vision, etc. And so that tended to bring them down. So all the talent in the world, and you know what? I'd rather work with a less talented artist, but who has vision and drive and passion, because you can always nurture talent. You can always improve on talent, but attitude, you can't. It's a hard thing to change the attitude of a 22-year-old or a young artist. It's very, very difficult. So yes, and generally, not even people I've managed, I have seen it in the market. I've seen very talented artists who've not gone any further because they just lost themselves somewhere in the process. And I can't totally judge them, so to speak, harshly, because there's a lot of reasons why that does happen as well. It's not one single reason normally. So yeah, it does happen.
Amazing.
Can I just say something real quick on that, Jockey?
Yes. Go ahead.
So I think, when he says the whole not believing in yourself, self-esteem thing, it kind of touches me, because I am that person that didn't fully understand my worth, my value, and I think artists are even more susceptible to that, because like I said before, we are very sensitive, and there is an innate need for validation within us, and so there's constantly this thing that we have to check if we're healthy, that we're not just wanting attention or what, it's the whole reason I'm creating this podcast on personal growth, because it has to start there. The reason that, and you probably all know my story. I've been through it. There's no reason I should be here talking to any one of you. Sorry, I just dropped my phone. But, there are many things in my life that have tried to discount me. The only thing that is allowing me to stand here and talk to you is that I haven't discounted myself. And that's because of the work that I have done on myself. So I think there is something that artists need to start with, is knowing who you are, because we're taken advantage of because of that. We're poor because of that, because we don't think, if someone pays us 1,000 bob, we're like, oh, thanks. Kumbe, you are worth 10,000, But we don't spend enough time building who we are as people first, because that stage will gobble you up if you don't know. Oh, I know this.
Amazing.
Okay.
And yes, go ahead now.
I'm looking at the time. We are always running out of time on this platform. The conversations are always just so hot, and the time is running out.
Yes,
but I would like to play Valerie's video when you're ready, before we run out of time.
Yes, that would be good.
Should I do it now?
Yes, do it while you're setting it up. I will stop talking as soon as it comes on the screen. Yes.
Jerarituariaku Inawangannya Jabawasyanasyaku tere wido ohana otachiso Twekyoga no kyamaito mutumia Karete taño ni onda Wena maidore mutumia Te mohana kuni ene dona Mwadhani mutumia Mutumia Tiana gamorata Dahora nyoyaga Keno gake yakwa Mutumia Koroya moraika Anamo heteria Now I gotta get out Mutumia Rakarete taño ni ona Wena maidore Mutumia Imohana kuni ere dona Mwadhani Mutumia Moreri Morata Mutogoria Dugata Madai Michelle Obama Mutumia Nairobi Kenyaro Raya Tegashagi Bashanya Tomaga Ikwoke Yoga Matrine Jokonana Mutumia Mutumia
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. That's so lovely. Valerie, well done. Well done, Valerie. Nana, we need to negotiate an arrangement, a collaboration with her for us to be using this song on our film nights.
What a sweet thought.
Yes, because it's really about us women, you know, and Commonwealth business women is all about women. We must find a place for this. I've loved it and I've loved that shushu.
Thank you. Isn't she awesome?
Yeah, she's great. She's great. We only have 2 minutes now, and I'm gonna ask both of you to say a final word. I'll start with David, Valerie, and then I'll go to our chair. But before we do so, there's one thing you've just said, Valerie, that I've loved and it's touched me, because each one of us, no matter what careers we are in, there's moment or moments we start doubting ourselves. And you said something like, the world may discount you, or other people may do things that discount you, but you are not discounted till you discount yourself.
Hey.
I've loved that. I've loved
Goosebumps.
that. Yeah. Goosebump moment. So let me go to David. David, a couple of final words on the art career, the vision, and what we want to tell our parents and the young people and those already in the arts.
Live as best as you can, and I know it's not easy. Live your life, live your passion. but do it, be disciplined about it, and be true to yourself about it. It's not a passing fad. It's not showbiz. It's not for, it's not fun times. It's work like any other work. And Valerie will tell you how hard it is to get to where she did. It's not an easy ride. Take time to research, take time to talk to people, take time to get mentors, and just don't be lazy about it. I don't know.
Good. The passion goes with effort. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's well put.
Yeah. Valerie, few words.
I want to end by giving a little story, because we hear very many stories of people that, it's so high and unachievable, the Beyoncés of this world, but sometimes we need to see success closer to us to understand that it's possible. I want to tell you about my sister. My sister is maybe 10 or 13 years younger than me. I don't remember. Honestly, my memory, my baby has taken it away. But she started, I was here in the States. She was in Kenya. She started dancing when she was, I think, 16. Dancing, right? Dancing that nobody takes seriously at all, right? As a career. She would take herself to the few dance classes there were in Nairobi. I think it was in Karen or somewhere, I don't remember where. Literally find a way to get there every day, dedicated, Nobody understood it. We supported, people supported as much as they could, but really, I think at the beginning they thought, oh, this is cute, Next thing you know, she came to visit me in the States, still had the same determination, the same drive. She went to dance school. She learned. She would go take classes every single day. She worked so hard, right? That then took her to New York. This same vision and this same drive that we're talking about. This had nothing to do with me, nothing to do with her parents, nothing to do with anyone. It was her own drive. Right? In New York, she got further training. And then she got to a place where she figured out this path that dancers are taking in New York is not really my path, right? Again, the vision, because if you don't have it, you're lost, right? So she came back to Kenya. And my sister McKenna started her own dance school, training online right now. It's called the Kenna Corner. Look for it on Instagram. I must plug her. Because she is the definition of do not let anybody tell you can't do anything. If you can't do anything, it's because you're not doing it yourself. my passion made my phone fall.
Can I just a quick one, Jockey, before we wind up. Valerie, first of all, that's an amazing story. I didn't know Kenna had gone so. I'm just so impressed. I've been watching her on Instagram, her dancing, and then I think I lost touch, so I need to definitely follow her. I'm so proud of her. Second thing, in this movie that she's king, and it's interesting how they use the twist, and something you didn't mention, we didn't talk about, I know, but it's really she is queen, but they're using she is king as a more powerful statement, and I love that play on that, and it was a lovely movie. Then I watched the credits, and two things. One, it was actually, the music side was actually handled by Gallo. Gallo is who Valerie was signed up to. Gallo Records in South Africa. And then secondly, Valerie, little twist. Remember the group Harari? Because one of them performed on your album.
With
the
guitarist, yeah.
So part of them, Harari's music is also used in the soundtrack, of course, along with Miriam Makeba and others. So I just thought this thing has connections with you as well.
It has so many. It was meant to be. Thank you, ladies, for making this happen.
We didn't know all that, David. We actually didn't know all that. So this was meant to be.
I know. All I noticed was that there were 23 songs in that movie. 23. Yeah. And I also noticed all the songs were authentically South African. They were African songs.
I loved it.
I loved it a lot. Now, Nana, is it your turn to say some final words?
David, say his last remarks.
Yes, he started.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Great. As I say, we've run out of time, but I always look for something that we are going to go away with to implement, because these forums are not just about conversations. These forums must lead to something happening on the ground in real life with our women. And this is what I've taken away. We've already shared this on Facebook before I even tell David. David, this is what we are committing to. We are committing to a creative business management class. And it will be, business, it's called Business Management Workshop for Creatives. And it will be done by the Creative Enterprise Center.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we have called on creatives to email CBWN Kenya. I've already posted that. And they're going to learn about cash flow management, intellectual property, and marketing. So we are going to round these individuals. We are looking at maybe in 4 weeks' time. You and I will work this in the background.
Sure.
What it's going to be. But this is what we are going to do with the creatives.
Let me ask Valerie, if you have time, would you plug in at some point in one of the classes? If I can plug you in.
I would love to.
Excellent. Done. Yeah.
You gotta love this platform.
Why? You know why? Because if we build each other up, we build the whole industry. Like,
totally.
You know, the selfishness has to end. It's not like I know the secret and I'm not telling you. We need to build this together.
Fantastic. Njoki, it's been worthwhile. I have left with something to go and implement, and that's what I'm always looking for. Back to you, Njoki. As we close, we say thank you. I say thank you to all our participants on Facebook, on Zoom. As you can see, this is not just conversation. This is impact on the ground as we build creatives, women in the creative industry. Thank you so much. Don't miss the next film night in 2 weeks' time. Look for it on all our social media platforms. From Nana Wanjau and the Commonwealth Business Women Network Kenya, I say asante sana. And Njoki, please close.
Okay, thank you so much, Nana. Thank you, all our viewers. First, thank you, Valerie, and congratulations on being a new mother. Thank you, David, my old friend who always stands up whenever I call you. And there we have the poster for our next film night. This time we have no excuse not to watch Poacher, one of the first, maybe the first Kenyan film on Netflix. It only started 2 days ago. Those who can't sit and watch a 1 hour, 1.5 hours movie, this is 23 minutes.
Wow.
Our talent, our wildlife, the cinematography is amazing. You hear it from me, and being a filmmaker, I know good cinematography when I see it. And it's got our...
Okay, whom do we want on this film? Whom do we want?
We are bringing one of the actresses in the film, and we are also looking for people who are in wildlife management, environment conservation. We're going to bring them here for that discussion on. Actually, I don't want to be a spoiler, but the question is, in Africa, why must our wildlife conservation and environment conservation have a foreign face? What about our young people and conserving our God-given assets like wildlife and the environment, being proudly Kenyan, being proudly African, and our role as women and youth? That will be the thrust of the conversation. Yeah. So thank you so much, the viewers. Valerie, actually, your sister did log in a few minutes ago. Kenna Kona, thank you so much for coming to support your sister. What a lovely story. Valerie, keep doing great work there in the US. Should things get a little bit too touchy in the US, do what David did and cross over to the Commonwealth.
Commonwealth, home, tuko na kwetu.
Thank you so much, Nana. As usual, thank you for staying with me throughout. Thank you for being such a dynamic chair. This is Joki Mahoho facilitating, moderating the CBWNK Kenya film night. and it's goodbye and thank you.